Hello, it's life coach and licensed therapist Robin May, and welcome to the I Believe in Marriage YouTube channel. Do you know that this year our theme is helping you and your spouse win in 2020? We are committed to helping you win, and over the course of the last 5 weeks, we have been doing a series, The ABCs of Marriage, and this is our final week. I cannot believe it. But if you look right in the description box, you will see a link where you can catch all the previous videos, and I want you to do that. I want you to go through all the previous videos because I believe this information can really help your marriage. If you haven't already, will you do me a favor right now? Will you hit subscribe? Will you join our YouTube community? I want you to go ahead and hit subscribe. And then as you get through this video, if you are liking what you are hearing, go ahead and hit like because it helps us to get more engagement and to get more people who are seeing this content. If you haven't checked out our website, IBelieveInMarriage.com, make sure you do it because there are so many resources there that are going to really help you in your marriage. Free resources and resources that you can invest in. Well, like I said, this week is our final week and we have 6 letters that we are going to go through. And one of the things I've said throughout this challenge or throughout this series, I'm doing so many challenges, throughout this series is before I give you a letter, I'll give you something else. Before I give you a letter just to come up with something, I'll give you something else. I don't play about marriage, and you're going to see that in just a minute. All right, so I am going to give you 6 words today, and we are going to start with the letter U. So far, we've done A through T, but again, you can click the link in the description box to get all of the previous videos. All right, you ready? All right, let's start with the letter U. As we continue to build the strength of our marriage, as we continue to lay the foundation, as we continue to strengthen the fabric of our union, I want you to focus on you and your spouse being unified. Unity is the word for you, unified. I want you and your spouse to make sure that you are one. The Bible tells us that the husband should leave their wife and leave their mother and father and cling to their wife. You want to make sure that you become one in your marriage. And that's not just one in one area. You want to be one in every area. And I'm going to get to a caveat about that in just a minute. But you want to make sure that you are unified. And that means bringing his strengths, bringing your strengths, bringing her strengths, bringing your strengths, and together you are taking one another's strengths to create this union that's not going to only bless you, that's not only going to bless your children, that people are going to be able to see your union, see your unity, and see what happens when 2 people who love God come together. Remember, your marriage, if you are a believer, your marriage is a picture of how Christ loves the church and how the church submits to Christ. Your marriage is a picture. And so I want to make sure you're creating a unified picture. And one of the things I want you to do as you think through your unity, I want you to think about what are the things in your marriage or the things in your life that try to come in and create separation. Listen, whenever my husband and I are hugging one another in front of the kids, one of them, it never fails, will come in and try to get between us. They're like, yuck. They are trying to separate our unity. And we tell them, get on somewhere because nothing comes between us. And in all seriousness, even when you're parenting children, they'll try you. They'll go to one parent and ask their parent if that parent they can do something. That parent says no. Then they go on over to that other parent and they think that parent is going to say yes. And we tell them over here, listen, even if I don't agree with what my husband has come up with in front of my kids, I'll say whatever your daddy said. Whatever your daddy said is what we're going to do, because I'm not letting anything, not even my own kids, come between my husband and I. So I want to make sure that you and your spouse are serious about your unity. That's the letter U. Let's move on to the letter V. And I have 2 words for the letter V. The first one is kind of fun. I want you and your spouse to find your vibe. What is your vibe? What are the things that you and your spouse just enjoy doing? What's y'all's flow? How do y'all make sure that y'all are staying on one accord, that you're staying unified, that you're staying accountable? How do you make sure you keep your good thing going? What is your vibe? I want you and your spouse to find that if you lost it. But the other letter for V is a vision. A people perish because of a lack of vision. And when you look up that word perish, it doesn't have to mean a physical death. you and your spouse can, the unity can die, the connectivity can die, the goals can die if you and your spouse are not clear about the vision for your marriage. And I want you to even take that to a higher level. I want you to think about, what is your vision for your marriage that God has given you? What is the call on your life as a couple? If you don't know what it is, I'm telling you, do me a favor, just start praying about it. God will lay it out so clearly for you. So you and your spouse need to have a vision. You know, one of the resources that you can invest in the I Believe in Marriage Network is the Couples Playbook. And this playbook helps you and your spouse create a plan, a strategy, a unified vision for your marriage. And so if you're interested in that, it's super inexpensive. It's like $27. That's less than you and your spouse getting a couple of drinks at Starbucks and getting a couple of pastries. It's just $27. So just go to IBelieveInMarriage.com/playbook to invest in that. But I want you and your spouse to have a vision. Speaking of vision, remember I told you, we're moving on to letter W. Remember I told you that the theme for I Believe in Marriage this year is helping you and your spouse win in 2020. Our goal is to help you win. Everything that we're sharing, everything we're teaching, everything we're presenting is to help you and your spouse win. But here's the deal. You and your spouse need to define what win looks like for you. What is a win in your marriage? What makes you and your spouse know that you have won, that you have taken your marriage to the next level? And sometimes you have to identify a win per every 6 months, or a win for the year, or a win over the next 5 years. What is a win? My husband and I the other day were just randomly talking about what retirement looks like for us. What are we working toward for retirement? That is a long-term win. But what is a win just for this year with everything that's going on in our world? My husband and I can sit down and identify, okay, so a win for us in 2020 is this. I want you and your spouse to identify the win for your marriage. All right. So we've talked about unity. We've talked about getting your vibe and understanding your vision. Then the W is win. Now, remember I told you, we're moving on to the letter X. Remember I told you, before I just come up with something, I will pass on a letter. But I'm not going to pass on X. I want to do two things. Number one, I want you to use the letter X as the jumpstart or the opportunity for you to revisit one of the other letters we've talked about. So I'm going to give you all the letters real quick. I'm about to run through them. Accountability, believing the best, understanding the culture of your marriage, deciding to stick and stay, making sure you are doing things that enhance your marriage, focusing on your friendship and fun, being grateful, showing your gratitude, humility, being intentional, knowing that this is a journey, that this is not a destination, that growing in your marriage is an ongoing journey, making sure you're showing kindness to one another, love, making sure that you are prioritizing your money, making sure that you are nurturing your relationship, finding an oasis. What is the place? Are you and your spouse a place for one another to come and be restored? Making sure you focus on prayer, knowing when to quit, knowing what respect looks like for one another, the importance of sacrifice, trust, being unified, knowing your vision, finding your vibe, and identifying your win. So when you come to the letter X, we went through that quick, didn't we? When you come to the letter X, when you think of all those letters, which one do you need to revisit? Because listen, I couldn't come up with nothing for X. There was nothing on my mind. I told you I'm not making anything up. So that's the first thing I want to do with X. The second thing, if you have something, if there is a principle, an idea that you think would work great for X, I super dog dare you. That's your challenge. If you come up with a good one, I am going to send you a gift. I'm going to send you a gift. Now you have, 1 week from the presentation of this video. So from the moment the video goes live, 1 week afterwards, you can inbox us at IBelieve_in_marriage on Instagram, or you can email us at contact@IBelieveInMarriage.com. And if you give us a good answer for X, I'm going to send you a prize. All right. So that is what we're doing for X. Let's move on to the letter Y. So remember when we talked about unity, and I talked about you and your spouse being on one accord, being unified, letting nothing come between your unity. I want to go with the letter Y, and I want you to think about you. I want you to think about you. One of the principles I wanted to give for the letter V that I did not, but I'm going to kind of slide it in now, is understanding values-based living. Values-based living. And what that means is knowing what you value and then incorporating your life with those values. Because if you don't, you will begin to feel a bit of disconnection in your life. When your life does not reflect what you value, it creates disconnect. It creates a discontentment. And so when we come with the letter Y, it is very important that while you and your spouse are one, that you do not lose you. There are special gifts. There are special strengths. There is a call on your life. There is a uniqueness to you. And marriage should not dull who you are. It should enhance. Ooh, can I get that to you again? Marriage should not dull who you are. It should enhance who you are. And so I don't want you to lose you in your marriage. Listen, yes, we should absolutely sacrifice in our marriage. Yes, there are times when you need to step back and let your spouse go forward. There are times when your spouse needs to be the star player, and there are times when you need to, and you guys have to figure out how to deal with that balance. But if you find yourself always on the back burner, if you find yourself always putting everybody above yourself, I'm telling you, bitterness will set in, and it may set in year 5, it may set in year 15, but eventually it's going to set in, and it is your responsibility to learn that delicate balance of making sure you're prioritizing you while still prioritizing the unity in your marriage. So why is you? Don't lose yourself. And then lastly, I want you and your spouse to create a zone for your marriage. I want you to have a clear zone for your marriage. What does that really mean? I want you to have boundaries for your marriage. If you are playing football, any of y'all played football, you know when you were out of bounds, right? The lines, the zones were outlined on the field. You know when you were out of bounds. I want you and your spouse to have boundaries for your marriage. One of my favorite books is Boundaries in Marriage. That's a great book for you to read. But I'm talking about you and your spouse having boundaries, knowing what is okay, what is not okay. What do you feel comfortable with? What does your spouse not feel comfortable with? In the lesson that I teach called Building Your Marriage as a Winning Team, one of the things we talk about is knowing the rules of your marriage, the rules, what's okay and what's not okay. And that's what this zone is. I want you and your spouse to be clear on what works and what doesn't. Because listen, what worked at year 1 may not work at year 15. What was cool at year 15 may not work at year 20, because we're continuously evolving and growing. So I want you and your spouse to get clear about your zone. Y'all, we did it. We made it through A through Z. Now remember, if you missed any of the previous videos, you can click the link in the subject and it will take you to all the previous videos. If this has helped you, share it on your page. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you hit subscribe. Grab some friends together. You guys go through each of these videos over these last 5 weeks. Choose a video a week that you and your friends are going to sit down and watch together via Zoom. You all can get on Zoom, watch the video, share the video on your screen, and then discuss it. Find ways to connect with other couples, because I'm telling you, that is a game changer, being around like-minded couples. We got through this series. I cannot wait for our next series. If there's a topic you want us to cover, let me know. Get in my inbox like y'all do. Get in my DM so that we can give you the information you need. Because remember, it is our goal to help you win in 2020. I cannot wait to see you next week. Talk to you soon.